Good morning, Miss God's Pirate joined. Good morning, Faye just joined. Good morning, Lusquig. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hey, if it's your first time here, let me know where you're from. Put something in the comments, what state you're from. Don't forget to like, share, and follow. And I do the same at the end of the live so that we all grow together. Good morning. M just joined. El Munico just joined. Morning, everybody. $148. User 372 joined. Christian. Yolanda Gonzalez just joined. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I hope y'all had a good Christmas break. Sorry, I'm running a little late here. I actually overslept a little bit this morning. I'm usually up around 4:30, and I slept all the way till 5 o'clock. How about that? Griffin just joined. Hey, Griffin, how's it going? Everybody back to work today, or some of you still on vacation? Anybody still on vacation? Put something down in the comments. Let me know. America first. I agree with you there. I like that handle. I do like that handle. Anita Clark, good morning. Man, I had such a busy Monday. I wished I was better prepared this morning, but I'm not. Let's do this first thing. Like I said, good morning. Question. I like that one. Two Stroke Jones. Hey, how you doing? Joseph, how's it going, buddy? Two Strokes. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so everybody, I'm just giving everybody a few minutes to kind of wake up, jump in here. Lone Star Lifter. I like that one too. That's a good one. Michelle Sarrett, hey, thank you. Cool Wall joined. Hey, great. What good? Yeah. Reservoirs. Thank you, everybody, for joining this morning. It's cold. That's why up in the upper East Coast is getting hammered, and I do mean hammered, with snow. And let me know where you're from and what the weather's like there. Nick 0595 joined. Hey, how's it going this morning? What's that doing? I think everybody needs a little of this Nero gum this morning. What do y'all think? Y'all ever tried any of this? Has anybody tried this? Anybody? Giovanni, how's it going, man? I just, everybody's kind of popping in and out trying to get Alabama Blackwater Warrior. Oh, I like that handle too. Cold in Alabama. Yeah, it's cold here in Texas, but I think it's about 38 this morning here. But they're saying that by the weekend we'll be back close to 80. Good morning, Dad Skull 85. Hey, how's it going? Got some people joining over here on YouTube. I love that. Cold in Philly, man. I saw some of the weather. We have some couple of friends that had gone to Wisconsin for the holidays to visit their parents, and she got stuck there. I don't think she's been able to catch a flight out yet to get back to Texas. That's cool. Flagstaff, Arizona. Yeah, you don't associate with cold in Arizona, but it does get cold in Arizona too. 2 inches of snow in Wisconsin. That's nuts. Let me look here. Just look something up here. So what it's nice background. Thanks. I appreciate that. There's a lot of hard work went in there, but I like it. It took me a long time to have a space where I could have that type of background. There's a whole story that goes with it. Hey, Kim, how's it going this morning? Hey, Kim, what's the temp up there in Belton this morning? Is it? So you know that the winter storm's pretty bad when they give it a nickname. They're naming it Winter Storm Devon, and it's sweeping across the Northeast and Midwest, and it's what we call here in Texas a blue-tailed northern. Even here, I mean, it went from 80 to 40, and it's actually colder this morning than it was yesterday. Hey, over here on TikTok, if you are new, let me know where you're from. Tell me what the temp is, where you're at. We're just kind of warming up here, getting ready for the day. So it looks like the Northeast and Midwest, they're going to have heavy snow and rain. They're even saying the weather's been described as a bomb cyclone, causing major disruptions in flight cancellations and hubs in JFK, Chicago, O'Hare, Boston. And then, of course, it gets to Texas, and it's just the temp dropped about 40 degrees, but and the wind. Yesterday, the wind was blowing about 40 miles an hour, and I think the wind's what really made it feel cold. But I think it's supposed to get up around 50 sometime today, or close to the 50. Looks like a Great Lakes area, heavy lake effect snow. I've never seen that, but my brother-in-law and his family went to Michigan last year, and they saw some of that. They said that is wild when you get that lake effect snow at you. One was terrible today. Mermaid, thanks for joining. Jamie, good morning. Oh, knock some trees over. Well, that's never good. That happened earlier. I think the first cold front that actually blew through this year took out 2 of my neighbor's trees, and one of them ended up on my trees in my lawn. Luckily, I had to break out the chainsaw and we got it cleaned up, but ended up costing a guy like $4,000 because he had to have 2 of his 20-year-old trees completely removed, and then had to buy 2 more to replant them. Lord joined. Thanks. How you doing? Elevated passenger followed. Thanks. I appreciate the follow. Like I said, I always do the same at the end of the live, providing you're not a bot. And the one thing that I see, and I need y'all's help with this. If especially for my TikTok viewers, if you're on TikTok and you have an account, but you don't have, you haven't posted anything, sometimes that really hurts you for followers. But if I don't mind following people that don't have anything posted, because I'm sure there's people that they don't want to create any videos. They just want to, they want to get on TikTok and join lives and do that part of it, and that's fine too. I just don't always know. I hate to say this, but it's like there's so many bots and you just don't know if you're joining somebody or you're going to follow somebody that's is that a real person or is that a bot or what it is. So maybe if you do give me a follow and you don't have any videos posted, put something in the comments so that I know, because a lot of times if you don't have anything, then we can't go and like some of your videos and kind of tells you what it's all about. I'm definitely real. I do like hunting. Yeah, great, perfect. See, that's what I'm talking about. I try to, because it took me a while, but eventually I learned that. Mermaid, thank you for the rose. I appreciate that, dear. That they limit both sides, you and me. We can only follow like 10,000 people. And once you get to that threshold, you're done. And so you want to try to find, or at least this is just my opinion, you want to try to find like-minded people to follow. If you find like-minded people to follow, they're probably going to follow you. They're going to watch your videos. You're going to watch theirs. And so it's a two-way street there. Hey, Ed, how's it going? Thank you for sharing. So one of the things I tell everybody, if you want to get on the fan club deal, send me the little emoji, the little heart emoji, and it automatically adds you to that list. Make sure you like, share, and follow, because that's really big. And, just so people understand that sharing, especially like with videos, is just as important as following the creator. Everybody wants more followers, because that's kind of your well, I'm at a loss for words what I was going to say. Giovanni Diaz, you'll buy and I'm going to go to sleep. Okay. Oh, that's crazy. So, I did a video last night. I didn't even realize this. I got a hat. Everybody knows I wear a cap, and it's because, the glare on my head in the camera scares people sometimes. That's one reason, but really the main reason is because in Texas it's always hot and sunny, and you'll get your head sunburned really quick without wearing a cap. And that's happened to me a time or two. Jimmy D's in the house. What's up, buddy? And so anyway, that's why I wear a cap. And I got some caps. Thank you, Jimmy. I got some caps through TikTok, and one of them says whiskey bent, which, I got it because I like the hat. I didn't realize that it was so popular with the younger group. So have any of you seen that? I mean, do you know anything about the whiskey bent logo and their caps and stuff? So I was educated by my granddaughters last night that that particular brand of hat right now, at least here in Texas, sells for $30 or $35 a cap. And it is a well-made cap. It's just kind of one of those brands that a lot of these kids are liking. And I mean, I even went and looked. Kids and people, adults too, are selling these hats used on Facebook Marketplace for like, $20. If you try to buy them new, Cavender's has them for between $30 and $35. On the TikTok shop, I had to keep looking at this to make sure that I wasn't reading it wrong. The TikTok shop had them for $3.65 plus shipping. But then they had a $3.64 coupon that at checkout you could apply. So the cap ended up costing a penny. And then now there was shipping, and the shipping was $7.99, but you could get a $35 cap that sells anywhere for around $35 for $8 delivered to your house. And so my granddaughter said, "Are you going to sell that?" I'm like, "No, I like the cap. I'm keeping it." And I've got some more caps that I'm going to do some videos on that were sent to me. So anyway, obviously nobody has heard of that brand. That's crazy. Thanks, Dad Skull. I appreciate that. I'll go check you out after the live. I do have to go to the doctor this morning though, so nothing major, just regular blood work and then check up next week. Trying to get all of that done. Hadn't heard of that brand. Yeah, I never heard of it either. Jimmy, I didn't know. Like I said, that's a good thing about having granddaughters that are, 18, 19 years old. They kind of keep you up to date. But I just thought it was really, that just goes to show you if a company's selling caps that are sold for that kind of money. Nurse Kathy, hey, well, I guess she thought we weren't sick enough, so she left. She left us. What was it? It blocks the shine. Yeah, that too. What's that? Nurse Teddy popped in and left. Kelson, hey, what's going on? Thanks for joining us this morning. So, did anybody have any wild family stories over Christmas? Nothing. Everybody behaved. Your uncle didn't drink too much eggnog or any of that. Everybody was good. They were good here too. We did on the 27th. So my side of the family, I only have a sister that's still alive. My parents and that's it. It's just the two of us. I take that back. I have a great aunt that is, I think she's 93 now, and she's still alive. But that's it on my side of the family. My wife's side of the family is huge. They have a family reunion every summer, and they've been having a family reunion in the same place for like 175 or 80 years. It's crazy. But she has a very large family. And part of that is because she's, she has 4 brothers and sisters. So, and then of course they have families, and now the kids have families. So there's a bunch of us. Anyway, so like on the 27th, we had about 35 people show up at the house. When they come here, we have to like notify the neighbors, hey, we got a family gathering, and so I put some pulled pork on the pit, and I got up at like, I don't know, Saturday. It was probably 3 or 4 in the morning. It was early to get the pit started so that I could get everything prepped and started cooking. And then I cooked for probably 8 or 9 hours on the smoker, pulled it off. There wasn't any left, so I figured it was either they were really hungry or it was good. So, but it all got eaten. And by doing that, we got to see both sides of the family. Everybody got family time, Christmas time together. TF Doe just joined. Hey, Giovanni Diaz, what up over here on YouTube? Yo, Bob, I am wondering, did you think this was Christmas? Wasn't so exciting and joyful? Yeah, I agree that there are. Hang on a second here. It was a little chilly out here this morning, so I had to turn the heaters on, but I like to turn them off. Sometimes they get a little noisy. Christmas time for a lot of people is really difficult. Not just Christmas, but holidays. So, maybe they associate it with a loss of a family member or a loved one close by. Maybe they don't. I have a coworker who his Mr. Wise Guy joined. Hey, his family is scattered all over the United States, and so he's here by himself. So he came. We invited him to come spend some time with us. But like Thanksgiving, he spent Thanksgiving Day by himself. I didn't know that, or we would have. And we went. We were invited to someone else's house for Thanksgiving. So we don't usually do that, but we did this year. So I couldn't invite him there, but he was really appreciative that we included him with our family. So if you're ever going through the holidays and you think about or somebody, Marcus, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Reach out and maybe invite them to your house so that they're not by themselves, because a lot of people, they get really depressed during the holiday season, and I can understand. Lubbock, Texas. Ain't been there in a while. I used to work for a company there. West. I could like if I ever moved to West Texas, I could move to Lubbock. My sister lives outside of Lubbock. I wish she didn't live so far away, but she does. I could live in Amarillo, and I could probably live in Lubbock. I've been both places, and yeah, the cities are big enough, but the outlying areas are small enough. So great. Marcus, how long you lived in Lubbock? But that kind of applies about people being depressed during the holiday season. It's just, like I said, pay attention, because you never know. Everybody doesn't have big families. Sometimes it's maybe just them. Maybe they're divorced. Maybe their kids are grown. Red dirt remembrance. But if you ever do, like I said, the other thing that we always do every year is through the church. There's always usually families in need with little kids, and we were fortunate that we were given a family this year, and they had a little boy and a little girl. The little boy was 4, and the little girl's 10. And their parents were really struggling. The mother was working, but they were in a car accident. They only had one car, so the car got totaled. They couldn't afford to buy a new one, so they're trying to save up money. The dad just had a heart attack and had to have open heart surgery, so they were really going through some tough time. Yeah. I can't wait for Ed to come to Texas. He's going to move down around San Antonio when he retires. Get some really good Mexican food there in San Antonio for sure. I've got friends, and I've worked in San Antonio a lot over the years, and it's if once you get how the roads are laid out, it's definitely not a bad place to live. It does get hot in the summertime, but it gets hot here in the summertime too. Anyway, so we get to adopt a family every year and provide Christmas for them. And it was really not for the parents, but for the children. And man, some of the pictures we got, I'll tell you, it made it all worth it. They think that they got the better end of the stick, but trust me, if you're on the giving end, you always get the better deal. So, if you can afford to do something like that and give, I definitely encourage that at Christmas time. You got over 10,000 cat. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that, Jimmy. Great. Maybe intentional, maybe not. Well, hey, Kay, how you doing, Kay? Thank you for all the gifts. I appreciate you. So, a couple of things that I was thinking about. One, I want to, and I haven't totally got it put together. I thought maybe I was going to have it by today, but I didn't because work was just crazy yesterday and today. And, if you don't know, this is my last week working for the company I work. They did a company reorg, and I was one of the people that got laid off. And so January the 2nd will be my last day of employment with them. So I'm trying to wrap stuff up at work. And so there's been, just a lot of last minute stuff that they didn't think about and it needs to be handled. So I've been really busy there. So I didn't get to finish doing the project, but I want to do, we do trivia days, and this is what made me think of this is, I don't know why, just out of the clear blue. I'm always trying to think of, hey, Chris, how's it going? Something new to do on the lives. And so I thought we'd play a game, and everybody's probably played it before, called Name That Tune. Or, there's all kinds of stuff with some music. So what I'm doing is I'm putting together a list of songs so that I can, play. And so I thought maybe one day during the live we'll play that game and do Name That Tune. I think everybody likes music of some kind, and that's the other thing, is trying to pick different genres of music so that I can mix it up. Laura Lloyd on. What do you get when you cross an elephant with a rhino? Elephano. I've heard that one before. Yeah, that's what I said. I know most people like music. Ed does, I do, Chris does, Casey. I don't think I've ever met anybody that didn't like music. It's just something different to do. And that was the other thing I asked yesterday too, if you have, and I've said this since I started doing the lives are only as good as the people who join and engage, right? So if there's something you want to discuss, if you have a question, if there's a topic you want to talk about, just let us know. As long as it's, appropriate, we'll definitely set aside time to talk about it. And, maybe it's something that I don't know much about, but maybe you're an expert at it and something that you could share with all of us. So yeah, if you ever come up with any ideas or something you want to talk about during a live, or something you want to try to do during a live, definitely let me know. Laura, that was a good one though. The elephant and the rhino. Unfortunately I had heard that one before. It's been a while, but I knew where you were going with that one. And, now that when we stream this, it's streaming on YouTube and TikTok, and oh, my TikTok family just continues to grow, and the YouTube, more and more people are joining there too. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact that YouTube records it and turns it into a video. So if for some reason you ever miss the live, you can always go to my channel on YouTube and watch the live there. Or if there's just a part of it that you want on YouTube, you can go through and do that too. So what else? I was fixed to ask. What was the other question that I wanted to ask? Oh, okay. So I didn't really get to talk about this yesterday. Just out of curiosity, have y'all ever tried any of here, I'm going to hold it up here, the Neuro gum? Have y'all heard Joe Rogan chooses it's supposed to, so really the gum's not bad. I'll show you. And I got this I actually did a video on it for TikTok, but it comes like, there's like 9 pieces, like in a package, but it's got some vitamin B in it, and it's got about a half a cup of, or it's got the equivalent caffeine in it as a half a cup of coffee. But it's supposed to, I'm not sure 100% that I agree, but the gum doesn't taste bad. But it's supposed to just like help you focus, give you a little energy. And so I've chewed a couple of pieces. A lot of times during the day, after lunch, maybe you get that kind of sluggish feeling and trying to make it through the day. And so I guess try that. What do y'all think about that? Have you heard anything about that? The Neuro gum? Anybody at all? It's not really cheap. I can't remember what the price was on it, but I was just testing it. And again, I would have never requested a sample of this to test, except my granddaughter said that, what's Chris say? Naps help that sluggish feeling too. Yeah, I agree. Except that we're not always able to take a nap. So anyway, I don't know. It's got caffeine and thiamine. Has no sugar in it. It's full of B vitamins. If you've never tried it, read about it and let me know what you think about it. I'm just kind of, sometimes it's kind of like, does anybody remember who Ron Popeil is? Anybody? I mean, I think if you're close to my age, you're probably going to know who Ron Popeil is. Does anybody else? Let me know if you in the chat if you know who that is. Landon joined. Hey man, how's it going? And Chris, I agree with you that naps work really well. I don't think I've taken a nap since I was a young boy. I can't hardly lay down and sleep at night, much less during the day. Never heard of him. Ron Popeil, really? He was on TV. He's the guy that did the Pocket Fisherman. You remember that? And he did some appliances on TV. This was before Amazon and probably the internet too. And the chopper, do you remember the old choppers? That it was like a jar and it was basically 2 blades, and you could put your onion in it and chop up your vegetables like that. Does anybody ever remember? I can't believe nobody remembers Ron Popeil. I thought for sure somebody would say, yeah, I know who that is. I mean, he hasn't been around for a long time, but now it makes me want to Google something about him. My God. Hey, quick question. I know you just joined. Do you know who Ron Popeil is? Yeah, Ronco, there you go. Let's see, what does it say? That would have been a good trivia question to ask. Can I have a little more information? Yes. He actually started his career at age 16, setting up a U.S. shop at 5 a.m. at Maxwell Street Market in Chicago. So, Ed, he's in your part of the country, is where he was when he was 16. And he followed in the footsteps of a master. That's what it says. He popularized the phrase, but wait, there's more. And Ronco, yeah, that's why it was called Ronco. Exactly. And he promoted a lot of different products that I don't know if he personally invented all of them or not, but yeah. And it went from Ronco to now it's the as seen on TV products. Dough Free 8, thanks for the follow, buddy. Appreciate you. Yeah. I don't know why he came to mind this morning. But anyway, so let me see. Where was I going with the conversation? Morning, God, what's the temp where you're at today? And Ed, isn't it? Do y'all have snow and ice on the ground? Is that correct? There in Illinois? 28. Whoa. Okay, that's pretty cold. Yeah. South Carolina? Mm-hmm. Well, so here in Texas, it went from 80 to 40 overnight. And then this morning was actually a little bit colder. It's in the 30s this morning. But what was a killer yesterday, the wind coming out of the north at 40 miles an hour, that's what really made it kind of nasty out. Brandon Drummond, all the way from Scotland. Hey, buddy, thank you for joining us today. Ted Bundy's Volkswagen Beetle. Glasgow, Scotland. Okay. Stop the boats. Thank you for joining this morning. I appreciate you. So we have a couple from Scotland have joined us. So that's great. My wife gave me, oh no. Everybody, y'all be careful, because I was watching the news last night and they're saying that there's a super flu going around the United States. And they're still recommending, I know some people don't get vaccinated and some do. And I think it's a personal choice. I always get I do get the flu vax, and I've been vaccinated for COVID too. So I think every time I go, they're like giving me a vaccination, rabies, all of that. Shout out. Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. The Jack Bull 7460 over here on YouTube had a family member who passed. His name was Gabe Horn. Well, not to be not to be overly personal, was he a Christian? I didn't get the COVID bags. My wife did. Well, I'm sorry for your loss there. I appreciate, thank you for sharing that with us. That's tough. It's always tough when you lose a family member. Dang sure call yesterday morning. Oh man, Chris, you were out on horseback in that? Yeah. That's miserable. Well, I hate to hear that. I mean, like I said, anytime you have a death in a family, it's tough. Um, Family, friend, any of that. So I'll send. We'll be praying for you. Like I said, it's tough. We were cows. Oh, okay. Out with the cattle. That'd be cold. That wind blowing as cold as it was yesterday. If as much as it was blowing here, I know it was blowing in the Panhandle and horseback. Oh man, you could freeze your hiney off. Wow. Hmm. That's strange. Okay. Back to where I was. Um, where was I going? I got sidetracked there. Sorry, guys. Okay, 85. Well, that's not good. If he was, if you're not pulling my leg and he really was in Jeffrey Dahmer's house, yeah, that's not good. Back in '85. Wow, he had 5 layers on. Okay. If I lived in another country, I'd be sunbathing. Anyway, what I was talking about is the flu running rampant. I mean, I think we've all probably experienced some COVID, but I've been vaccinated, and I tell people all the time that don't get vaccinated for the flu. It's that vaccination is not to keep you from getting the flu; it's to keep you from dying if you get the flu. Um, I haven't had the flu so far, in the last couple of years. I've had COVID twice. The first time was really bad. I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks, but the second time lasted 2 or 3 days, and I was just at home. It was kind of like having the flu. Matter of fact, I thought I had the flu and actually had COVID. He had 5 layers on. I bet you did. Still can't cover your face though, really, I guess, if you're up on horseback. The latest panic announcement from the CDC. Yeah. Yeah, the flu comes around every year. I agree. I don't know why they're saying that. I don't know why they're calling it the super flu, but I mean, let's tell everybody, hey, take care of yourself. Unfortunately, the flu is kind of like COVID. There's not a whole heck of a lot you can do except try to stay healthy as you can, and do that part of it. But it's airborne, and it is what it is. Hey, Jamie, how's it going? Nirkin, good morning. Where was I going with this conversation? I got sidetracked again. Let me look at my notes here. Hey, I asked this question yesterday, and I don't think anybody responded because I think we had a lot of people yesterday, that being Monday, and it was, going back to work day, and I think we were all just about half asleep. But this is would you rather a would you rather question. So everybody put your answer in the comments. Get ready. Get your fingers ready. Tap on the screen. Make sure they're working. Go out the front door today, okay? Okay. Would you rather have a personal chef or a housekeeper? That's a pretty That's a pretty good question because I'd like to have a personal chef and a housekeeper. If I do, I don't. I don't eat healthy, take care of myself. Yeah, that's pretty much anybody. Hey Kim, chef. She would like to have a chef. Yeah, you know, really some of the wealthy movie stars. There, housekeeper. Okay. Yeah, my wife's a really good cook too. My wife and daughter both are good cooks. But I guess for me it'd be like I'd like to have one where I could just say, give your wife or, and in my case, my daughter a lot of time a break from cooking. Because the wife's retired now, but my daughter still works every day, and so you know how it is when you work and you're busy and you come home and you're just tired, and the last thing you want to do is cook and clean a meal up for a meal, even though we all have to eat. It'd be nice to have someone to, walk in the door and go, hey, grab your stuff, get a cup of water or whatever, sit down at the table, here's supper, and then not have to get up and wash dishes and do all that fun stuff or load the dishwasher, whatever you do. What's this? Schmo1211 over here on YouTube. I was just scrolling live stream. What's your shop? So that's a good question. I'm glad you joined us on YouTube today. Cars, I guess, judging from the background. Actually, no, it's not. So, and this is one of the things that I'm working on my social media. And I don't know that I have the definite answer. Do I like working on cars? Yes, some. Most of the new cars, I can do maintenance, but not really anything. I don't have any of the computers and all that other stuff. Can I change a tire, battery, the oil and all of that maintenance type stuff? Yes, I can usually do that myself. But the channel name Dave Shop refers to the shop I have out back where I do just projects and some woodworking, and yes, I love tools of all kind. I like woodworking tools, mechanic tools. I like to be able to fix and take care of stuff myself. And that started when I was young because I didn't have any money to hire anybody to fix stuff that was broke. So I had to learn how to fix stuff that was broke. My father was pretty handy, even though he wasn't a handyman either. My grandfather was a carpenter. So it's really just doing stuff around the house and Dave's Shop. I don't know how I came up with that, but that's what I came up with at the time. Back in 2019, thought that was, appropriate. What I'm seeing today, hey, Kate, I just real quick, let me holler out at Kate. Casey, how you doing, buddy? You still at home? Or are you on the road again? Casey's been with us a long time since first started doing lives, and so I always like it when he gets a second to pop into the lives. I never know if he's on the road. He's drives his own truck and travels all over the United States. So sometimes he's out on the road and just has a minute to pop in. No, he just woke up. Okay, so he must be on the road. Butterfly kisses, thanks. Treville, good morning. So anyway, and this is one of the things that I'm working on, trying to improve the marketing, because I agree with you and I say this all the time because you're not the first person that's asked me what kind of shop is that. When you hear Dave's Shop, initially I think most people think mechanic shop, cars. They don't think about woodworking, or they don't think about, hey, I don't know what everybody else calls it, but that's kind of my shop. That's where I keep all my tools, and I do projects and that kind of stuff. But when you're, what I've learned since 2019 is I still do tool reviews because that's what I started out doing. And I do some how-to videos, but things begin to evolve with YouTube, with the invent of TikTok and TikTok coming on the scene. And just my opinion, but I think TikTok really hurt the viewership on YouTube. Now, do I think they took them out? Absolutely not. But it has had an effect on them, and I'm starting to see YouTube make small changes so that they're kind of back in the game. So it's competition between the two, and just the channel name being Dave's Shop. If you know anything about marketing, people associate a brand with somebody's name, and I just never have. I don't hide my name. I'm not trying to hide it or anything, but it's just not used in videos and this, that, and the other. And I met someone who does marketing, and I just asked the question because I've been asking a lot of people questions, especially since this week on Friday will be the last day at my current job because I was let go in a company reorg. And so I'm going to spend a few months working on my social media. And so I kind of want to associate Dave's Shop with me. But I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't really want to, yeah, I think so. TikTok is catching up, and I was told just the opposite. I was told that nobody watched live streams on YouTube. Everybody was on TikTok. TTV 45 followed. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. I'll check your page out after the live. And so, what I'm trying to do is bring Dave's Shop and my name so that when you hear Dave's Shop, you associate it with me and not just, well, what does Dave's Shop mean? And what I've done, initially on YouTube, it was just how-to videos and tool reviews. And I can tell you when TikTok came along and I started doing stuff on TikTok, our long form videos on YouTube really tanked. The views tanked, where you used to get several hundred views the first day, we were getting 50. And so I was like, wow, something's got to change. And, with YouTube, they always said you have to have a niche. You have to do one thing and only one thing. And I have a tendency to disagree. I think you need to do what you like to do. And everybody's personalities are really pretty wide. I mean, I like to do a lot of things. And so I started making more shorts. I started posting stuff, everybody kind of like what they do on TikTok. People post stuff about their animals, funny stuff that they do, stuff that they like, all kinds of stuff. So I started doing something similar to that and just, moved some of it over to YouTube, and the views began to pick up. So I don't know that I necessarily agree that if you're on YouTube, you have to focus on one thing and one thing only, because obviously I've proven it to myself. My YouTube channel's up, followers are up, partly because I started going live, which I had started on TikTok, and now we do it on TikTok and YouTube at the same time. So that's part of it. And then, some other changes that I've made, but yeah, so that's hopefully answers your question about what we do on Dave's Shop. We have lives and talk about the day-to-day stuff. Interesting things that I run across, I talk about. I'll leave it open so that if there's something that you want to share, you can do that too. Let me read this. Life's a hobby. I don't agree with niche. Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't want you to chop your foot off. Oh, dang. That wasn't fun, I bet. But it'd make a great video. Yeah, you got to be careful with those axes because, man, one slip you can really hurt yourself with them. Schmo 1211. Nice. I'll check them. Great. Thanks, Schmo. I appreciate that. I like that Schmo 1211. That's pretty funny. YouTube can still be embedded on websites where TikTok cannot. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So I like TikTok. I like going live on TikTok. I've met a ton of people that have become friends on TikTok. I mean, this whole group here is, got me through a tough year in 2025. So yeah, I think you can do and you should do whatever. You shouldn't like just choke yourself down into one niche because it gets old. You get tired. It's hard to come up with stuff to post. Uh, so there you go. And so what I'm really working on now is one, associate Dave Shop with my name. And one of the first things, and you may have seen it, I just probably started it day before yesterday, is they say that on lives you should introduce yourself. Hey, this is Dave Shop. Thank you for joining. I'm your host, Dave. So there you go. That's the first step. And apparently there's 2 or 3 phases in getting it there. And I don't know who watches who on YouTube, but if you ever watch, there's a guy. It's the name of their company is Think Media, and the guy that owns it, his name is Sean Cannell, and he went from basically a nobody. He was a youth minister in a church, and I'm sure he still has something to do with his church, but that's where it started, and now he has a entire team and company there on YouTube that he does. But if you see the logo Think Media, you automatically associate it with his name. So that's what I'm working towards. Some of it I kind of got to get comfortable with. I don't know. I do a question of the day, and one of the recommendations on that is it should be question of the day with Dave. I, yeah, that was one of their recommendations. So some of it I'll try, and if it works, great. I'll continue down that path. If it doesn't, then maybe I won't. I don't know, but I'd rather not change the channel name on TikTok or YouTube, and mainly because since 2019, man, I've worked my hiney off sometimes to post over 400 videos on YouTube and quite a few on TikTok. And when you're a one-man show, and ask Ed, he can tell you he does a podcast and church broadcast, and I mean, you name it, he's been doing it a while. It can really be overwhelming sometimes when you're a one-man show. You're filming, editing, doing all of that stuff. What's a comfortable amount in a 401k to retire? Middleman. Okay. I love to talk about finances and retirement. Just so that everybody knows, this is just my personal opinion and my experience with investing. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not licensed in any of that. But here's how I would answer that question, middleman. One, and here's what you should always work towards. First thing you got to think about is how much money do you need to live every month? So you kind of got to put a little budget together. So just out of, just as an example, let's say that you need $100,000 a year to pay all your bills and be able to take care of yourself. So you start there. And if you, let's say that you use the 4% rule. 4% rule means that you will withdraw 4% annually from your 401k or your retirement fund. And whatever that amount is needs to equivalent to $100,000 a year. And then you work towards saving that amount of money. Now, a lot of places will tell you you need $1 million, $1.5 million to retire on, but that's just not true. That's just an out and out lie. If you did have that kind of money, I would say you're probably going to be good. And to explain the 4% rule, if you don't understand that, the 4% rule is something that's been around a long time, and it's based off the fact that you can draw 4% off your retirement fund annually and never run out of money. Now, depending on how much money you have when you start your retirement, you may be able to withdraw more than 4%. You could actually draw, 5 or 6%, depending on how much money you got. But always start with how much money do you need to survive and live on when you retire, and then you work your 401k up. Now, as far as, I don't know who you work for, every company's different. 401ks, most companies match 3%. The company I worked for matched 5%. So at the very bare minimum, you want, let's assume that it's 5% match. It's a 4% match. Okay, great. So on a 4% match, you want to make sure you're putting in at least 4%. And your age has something to do with it. If you're in your 50s, you need to put away a lot more than 4%. If you haven't, already started. If you're younger, then by all means, like, my granddaughters, both in the last year have, so you're 31 with 88K. Okay. Well, that's not bad, really. And here's the thing. When I first started saving and putting money away, you feel behind. I felt behind too. I really, when you see the biggest jumps in your retirement is when you get really close to it. There's a rule of 72 that says your money will double every 7 years. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that 100%. But I can tell you, get to the $100,000 saved, you'll start to see bigger jumps over time. And I don't know what your income is, but if you're only saving 4%, I tell everybody that if you have the ability and you can afford it, don't just put all your ducks in a 401k. Maybe you're like the company I work for had a Roth and a 401k, and I contributed to both. Roth being after-tax dollars, 401k is pre-tax dollars. So yeah. If you don't, so it just, there's a lot of things that, if you don't have a financial planner, at some point you might want to do that. It just depends on how much time you have to keep up. There's a guy on YouTube, and he does shorts, and he is a retired financial planner. I'll have to, I just can't remember his name right off the top, but he gives some really good advice. Look at staying in the S&P 500 index fund. That index fund has outperformed the market for probably 100 years. I don't know how long it's been, but a long time. And so I tell people all the time, if you just put your money in an S&P 500 and leave it there and don't ever worry about moving it around and just leave it there, you'll probably do better than most people in the market. Yeah, there you go. 15% last year. Boom. And a lot of people think that, oh, I need to invest in here and there and diversify. Well, the S&P 500 is diversified. It's top 500 companies in the U.S. where the money's invested. So, yeah. Fidelity does have good in-house. I have some money with Fidelity, yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. So, yeah, you're not behind, though. At 31, you got 88. I would, if you can afford it, try to put away more than 4%. And one of the things that I always do, Dave Ramsey, yeah, I like some of the stuff he talks about. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's not bad. I like the fact that he's a Christian, so I do like that. I don't think he's gonna steer you down the wrong path. But there's a lot of other guys. I mean, he's a real estate mogul and very wealthy, but there's a lot of other guys that are in the financial field. And the main thing you got to worry about on finances is that you're not paying exorbitant fees for advice, because that down the road can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So just be smart, educate yourself, read about stuff. I know it's tough when you have a full-time job and maybe managing a family and all that other stuff, but read listen to a lot of. Yeah, I'll tell people this all the time. If you listen to one person, they're going to steer you in what they think. If you listen to two people, then you're going to get a different opinion more than likely. But you need to take information from multiple sources, and then you can make your own decision, and it'll be a lot better because you're going to hear pluses and minuses and different people's thoughts on retirement and how much money you should save. There you go. There's my 2 cents worth. But it's really interesting, and I don't think you're behind. Do you realize that? Just look at some of the numbers of what people actually have. Do you know how many people in the United States have no retirement? Not a penny. They think they're going to retire on Social Security. They've put no money away for whatever reason. Maybe they've never had a good job that had that. Maybe they struggle. I don't know, but I'm stunned by how many people have no money in retirement. I mean, I work with 3 guys, and those 3 guys are in their 50s, and they're behind you. They have less money than you have invested. And, granted, none of them have, well, one did have a wife. He doesn't now, but they don't have wives, but they do have children. And, they're like, I guess I'm going to work all my life. No, you're not. You're not going to work all your life. Somewhere down the road, something's going to happen, and you're not going to work, and then you're not going to be able to find a job. Or if you do find a job, it's going to pay you, $12 an hour, and you're not going to be able to live on that. Maybe, I don't know. But I don't think you're behind. Keep doing what you're doing. If you can put away more than 4%, by all means. But the other big key, everybody talks about investing in 401ks. And let me tell you something. You got to get yourself debt free. You got to not have a car payment. You got to not have a house payment. When you retire, you want to own your home, period. Because it just makes a big difference. If you can have no car. And I understand that I don't necessarily, this is where Dave Ramsey says, I just drive a beater. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if you choose to drive a beater, you're going to be on the side of the road 50% of the time, because your beater is going to be broke down, and then you're going to be spending money on a beater. So debt free, good. That's a good thing. If you're debt free, dude, and I don't know if you're married, have kids, whatever, but if you're single, put the money away. Save it now while you're young. Time is on your side. That's what really bumps up your investments. Marcy, 1950. Hey, how's it going? Bojack, I spent all my money on SpongeBob NFTs back in 2021. Oh, that's funny. They're worth nothing now. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Can't live outside your means. That's true. You can't live outside your means. I agree. But if you've got $100,000 in credit card debt, that's just dumb, man. I'm not saying don't use your credit card, but I teach this to my granddaughters, or I hound it to them. Someday you're going to have a credit card, and credit cards can save you in an emergency. But man, you don't want to pay 30% interest on your money. That's dumb. Sometimes if stuff happens and if that's your only way out, then that's your only way out. But man, yep, absolutely. Del Free 8. Yep, you're correct. Casey's back. So yeah, if you can stay away from credit cards, do. I have a credit card. I have one credit card. It's a Visa card. And there's certain things that I use it for, but it's everyday things that I would spend money on whether I had a credit card or not. And I pay the balance at the end of the month. And it's a cash back card. So I get a little money back. Once a year, I cash all that in for cash, and I take that cash and deposit it in my Roth. So it's, pennies ends up being dollars in the long run. So that's how I use my credit card. But you can't have a lot of credit card debt, because that will take you down quickly. I like that. They're worth nothing now. Casey, all right. Casey looks like he's got to get on the road. Casey, be careful out there. I try to tell people your credit score is your lifeline. That's right. It is. It's a sad thing, but it is. It will cost you. Your car insurance will cost you more. You'll pay more for everything if you have a terrible credit score. So pay your bills on time, and don't get yourself overextended if you can help it. But dear God, pay your bills on time, because your credit score, unfortunately, I don't necessarily agree with it all 100%, but that's where they go. I'm not going anywhere. Oh, you got to take the horse back to the vet for the eye infection. I bet that's what it was. I saw that video the other day. They're worth nothing now. I said, hey, here a day vlogs. Hey, Dave, how are you? I'm good. Thank you for joining today here on YouTube. I appreciate you. Yeah, Casey's horse, one of his horses has, hey, Eddie, how's it going, buddy? One of Casey's horses has an eye infection they're working on. I don't know. Bye. You got to go study. Okay. Understood. Thanks. Have a great day. What's everybody's free source for soft credit check? I don't know. There's a lot of different ones out there if you need to check your credit. Greetings from North Texas. Martin, how's it going, buddy? Good morning, Luke. Hey, Luke, what's up? Experian. Do free 8 credit, Karma or Experian. There you go. Sounds like Middleman knows what he's doing. I think he's on the right track. He's debt free. He's putting money away. I think you're good. Of course, if you can. So this is another saying. You got to live for today, but you also have to save for tomorrow. So you kind of got to balance that and be responsible. It sounds like you are, Middleman. Sounds like you're doing a good job. Just write them a letter. It's the law. They have to provide it at least once a year. Yeah. There you go. Martin over here on YouTube says that you can, you can get your credit checked once a year for free. That's all right. Thanks, Luke. I appreciate it. Robert, good morning on YouTube. How you doing? Yeah, you can request, it is law. They do have to give you a free credit report once a year. And most of them offer it, I believe. I don't think it's anything that you have to do. I agree. It is a hard balance in saving your money. The one thing I would tell people, and I've seen people make this mistake a bunch of times, dear God, don't borrow from your 401k, because when you do, yes, you can pay it back, but you lose the compounding effect of your money over time. So that's the last place you want to borrow anything. What you can do, if you have the option for a Roth, is use your Roth like an emergency fund. And here's why I tell you that. With a Roth, at any age, you can borrow the money you put in. You can take it out with no penalties, no issues. You cannot take out any money that it made until you're age 59 and a half without penalty. But you can take out any money you put in. So if you use your Roth like an emergency fund, and some people do, I'm not saying have a Roth and only a Roth. You could have an emergency fund too. And right now there's some good savings accounts that are, paying 3 or 4 or 5% interest. So that's good. You could also park an emergency fund there too. But with the Roth, you can put the money in the Roth. You can use it as an emergency fund if something happens. You can withdraw the money you contributed without any penalties, without paying any taxes. And so you just cannot borrow any of the money that it makes unless it's been in the Roth for 5 years. So there. Robert. Good. I'm glad you're doing good, Robert. Morning. I always love it when we get all these people engaging. It makes my life so much easier. Casey, Louisiana. Okay. Middleman is from Louisiana. Okay. Well, guys, it is 7:07, so I've gone a little over, but that's okay. We had a lot of people join today, and I appreciate everybody. TikTok, look at there, 11K on the likes. I had 6 gifts. That's phenomenal. I appreciate everybody there. Anyway, so I've got to go give some blood. Have that, and I appreciate it. Hey, Middleman, come back and join us. We're here every morning now, starting as a reminder to everybody, starting January the 5th, which is a Monday. We've been starting at 5:45, and tomorrow we'll do 5:45 again. And then on January after tomorrow, I'm not going to go live the rest of the week just because we have the New Year's and some other stuff going. And then we'll start up again on January the 5th, and the live will start at 6 a.m. I'm going to bump it up 15 minutes. So live starting January the 5th will start at 6 a.m. And so everybody will get to sleep an extra 15 minutes or do whatever you got to do before the show starts, and then we'll start doing that at 6. And it'll probably do the same thing, an hour. But if it goes over an hour, since this is going to be my new job, it goes over an hour. It goes over an hour. But that way we can kind of. I'm thinking. Doing 6 to 7, and then maybe extending it out from there seems to be a good time for most people. That way the people that are used to joining early in the morning will still get to do that. And because some people at 7 they got to go, and that's been my case in the past, but in the future that won't necessarily be the case. So I bumped it up 15 minutes. That way we can kind of cover both ends, and hopefully that'll be great. Find a credit. So Martin on YouTube says find a credit, port bureau address, write a letter, provide an ID name, date of birth, SSN, request a report, do it in writing. It always the best, not online. Okay. That's good advice. Thanks, Martin. Plus, if you Martin says if you request it in writing, you get more information. So there you go. Middleman, thank you for the follow. I'll do the same here in a little bit. Everybody, Martin's a licensed attorney here in Texas. Yeah, that's what I like. I found out I have a friend that was an attorney in California, held a license in California and in Arizona. And she, when she moved to Texas, she's not a practicing attorney anymore, because it's very difficult to get a law license in the state of Texas, much more difficult than in California or some other states. At least that's what I've been told. I'm not an attorney either, but Martin is, and I always like to have a good attorney in your back pocket, if you know what. Martin, what kind of law do you practice? If I can be overly nosy. Zodiac Gamer just joined. Hey, man. Different state laws. Yeah, exactly. Javier, good morning. Civil. Okay. Civil and contract. All right. Good deal. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that advice. It's always good to, have somebody, what I call SEM or expert, subject matter expert is what they call it at work too. And so it's always good to have an expert be able to give out advice that we can share. So thank you. Thank you for joining me here on YouTube. I appreciate you. Hopefully you'll continue to come back, because, we can always, you never know when somebody has a question. It's always good to, we have Ed, who is a Lutheran minister out of Northern Illinois. We have Cal Cop, or Chris. He goes by Cal Cop. His name is Chris, is a Texas peace officer. So yeah, now we didn't have a lawyer join us, but now we do. So I appreciate you joining and letting us know that too. A lot of people don't want to share what they do for a living, but it's really interesting. At least to me it is. And I think to most people too. So everybody, it is 7:13. I've got to be on the road in 15 minutes. I need to refresh my cup of coffee, even though It looks like coffee, but I've been drinking water because they said I couldn't have anything till after the blood work. But yeah. So I'm going to take my coffee on the road with me. So as soon as I get out of the doctor's office, I can start drinking my coffee for the day. Thank you, everybody. YouTube, TikTok. Without people joining the live, you're the people who make the live, not me. I'm just here to have lots of fun and learn from everybody that's here. So I would say go out. Live today like it was your last day, and you might not see the sun rise tomorrow. Do something kind for somebody. And most of all, come back here tomorrow at 5:45 and let's have some fun. Maybe we'll do some trivia tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to have the Name That Tune ready just yet, but I'll try to make sure that we do some trivia and something fun tomorrow. How about that? Got any questions? You want to ever send me a message? You can email me at daveshop2@gmail.com. You can message me through YouTube, through the comments, anything like that. Hey, Peyton, how you doing? We're right at the end of the live, Peyton. I'm sorry. Come back tomorrow. Like I said, we're going to do 5:45 in the morning. And then on January the 5th, we're going to start at 6 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for all the support. Come back and let's continue this. Thank you very, very much. Everybody have a wonderful day.